They met when the world was still gentle. Emily was 22, fresh out of university, carrying a notebook full of half-finished poems. Daniel was 24, a guitarist in a band that played in dim-lit bars where the air was thick with smoke and hope. It wasn't love at first sight. It was slower, heavier, like rain soaking into earth. She saw him playing one night, his fingers trembling on the strings, his voice breaking in places where it shouldn't have. But the rawness pulled her in. After the set, she told him so. He laughed nervously, as if compliments hurt. From then on, their lives tangled. She wrote while he rehearsed. He played while she read. They walked the riverbanks at dawn, speaking of futures they didn't yet believe in. Emily swore she'd publish a book. Daniel promised he'd take her on tour once the band finally made it. They made plans like children building castles of sand, fragile, shining, certain only in the moment. But life has a way of breaking promises before they're spoken aloud. Daniel's band dissolved within a year. Members drifted off to safer jobs, the kind that paid rent but didn't set souls on fire. He worked shifts at a gas station, his guitar gathering dust in the corner. Emily, meanwhile, found work at a small publishing house, her own writing pushed aside while she edited the words of strangers. Still, they held on to each other. Nights were their kingdom. They lit candles, played old records, and whispered vows no priest would ever hear. But in the quiet, Emily began to notice something in him that frightened her. A heaviness he carried in silence. Daniel smiled, but his eyes rarely followed. The first time he disappeared, it was for 3 days. He returned without explanation, smelling of whiskey and rain. She forgave him. The second time, she forgave again, though her forgiveness trembled. By the third, she no longer asked where he'd gone. She simply waited, fearing the day he would not return. That day came one autumn evening. The leaves outside had turned rust-red, brittle as old paper. Emily came home to find the apartment dark. On the table lay his guitar pick, his ring, and a single page torn from her notebook. On it he had written, "I'm sorry. I loved you too much to stay, and not enough to be saved." They found his body 2 towns over, in a cheap motel by the highway. He had left no other note, no final call. Just silence, vast and unbearable. Emily moved through grief like a shadow of herself. The world kept demanding things, bills, meetings, polite smiles. But she gave it only what fragments she could spare. At night, she reread the page he left behind, the ink smeared where her tears had fallen. Years passed. She published her first book, then another. Critics praised her honesty, her unflinching portrayal of loss. They called her work brave. She wanted to tell them it was not bravery, only survival. Each word she wrote was a wound reopened, each sentence a prayer to someone who would never answer. Sometimes, in dreams, she saw him still, standing beneath stage lights, guitar in hand, singing a song only she knew. She would wake with his name on her lips, the taste of absence sharp as blood. And though the world moved forward, though her hair silvered and her laughter returned in fragments, Emily never stopped loving the boy who left her with a single page, a hollow guitar, and a love story that ended too soon. Because some loves are not meant to be lived, they are meant to haunt.